After 3 straight days of testing, I finally decided on a striker build that I actually like post-ban listy. Multi-role going to 1 changes this deck a lot more than people actually think it does. So the fact that it still exists makes this deck going first a little bit okay, though I don't believe that this deck should be completely going first nowadays. In fact, I've actually decided to make a going second build that I've actually found to be extremely effective at breaking boards. Using things like Pankratops to get resources off of Area 0 while blowing up your opponent's cards, using Impermanence to turn off your opponent's Colossus, and then breaking their board with Widow Anchor, or just blowing up again with Pankratops, evenly matched just to blow out your opponent, stuff like that. And Foolish Burial Goods becoming a lot more important card than it was in the previous format, getting you the free resources in the grave to set up for Kagari, or you can use it to get access to anything in your deck, or any draw from your deck by getting rid of Metalfoes Fusion. So without further ado, I'm just going to go right into this profile. So the monster lineup is actually a little bit bigger than it was in the past. You're playing 3-Ray still. It's the more important now than ever to open with this, especially now that we don't have as easy access to it without multi-roll blowing up Area 0 as consistently. I believe playing 3 of this is always going to be important. So I decided to main 2 Pankratops. Again, this is going second, and I'm running the field spell so I can get easy access to this really consistently. Just summoning this, blowing out like something like a just a regular back row, depending on what the format may come across with. Like, if the Striker Mirror is still prevalent, we'll be using this to blow up the multi rolls. You can use this to bait out negates with like of your opponent's hot red, stuff like that. If that build is also still viable this format. For the hand traps, it also got boosted up from 6 to 8. 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Valor. This is the important one for going against Orcust. You gotta hit their Mermaid as fast as possible, shutting down that play for the turn. Just usually will turn them off of playing entirely. So I'm playing 2 Impermanence over 3. I'm debating whether or not I want to play 3 of this and 2 Valor, or 3 Valor and 2 of this. Because this turns off Colossus while also being a Valor, though this thing is more dead late game than it is early game because it actually will require a turn to set up. So that is it for the hand traps. For the last 3 traps, like I said, 3 copies of Evenly Matched. This thing is a blowout against almost anything. It shuts down anything that's relying on back row, True Draco, stuff like that. If Altergeist are still popular now that we have the Almirage searching the 1 copy of Multifaker, this will be more important in that matchup. And then just turning off a lot of cards on your opponent's Colossus board is really nice. If Pure comes really popular, this deck's really easily able to out 1 Colossus. But with this being in the deck in the main, it allows me to out multiple at once, then deal with the 1 Colossus with like a Widow Anchor or an Impermanence. For the spells, so this is where things get a little bit weirder than the previous build, because now that we don't have multi-roll, you're actually more reliant on Engaged in the past. Just your big toolbox spells are more important now, because it's very hard to prevent them from getting ashed, because multi-roll is again at 1, and it was like your Cold Wave that was preventing things. So 3 Widow Anchor, yeah, like these are too important to not play at max, especially now. This turns off Colossus, it's a Snatch Steal, Engages just searches everything, including the 1 multi-roll. Though it feels bad to actually have to search multi-roll now. It was a really good hand when you could open the 1 multi-roll with Engage, because it just ensured that you're not going to get negated for the turn. So 1 multi-roll, because it's at 1, you have to play it. I'm still keeping 1 Shark Cannon. I don't like multiples of this except for in the mirror. I'm not completely certain how the mirror is going to turn out, and depending on what we might get in the future, if Orcust is still really popular, I'm going to keep it at 1, but if the Orcust deck does not show up at all, this thing I'm probably just going to cut entirely. 1 copy of Afterburner, it's just a blowout. So I decided to main 2 copies of Eagle Booster. So the theory with this is like going against something like Strike or the Thunder Dragon boards. If they try to like hot red you or negate your Kagari to get your recursion of the multi-roll, this will actually stop it. So it's just an idea I'm playing in for right now. I'm not certain if it'll stay in permanently, but I'm actually really liking this in testing. 1 Hercules base. This one's also kind of awkward to play, because you have to play it, though we only have 4 ways to blow it up now. I'm not running Twin Twisters in here just because I think Evenly Matched does it better. The only thing I would actually do it or put it in for would be like Mystic Mind, but again, I'm not super concerned about that matchup. Striker already had a pretty good matchup against that deck, and now it's just kind of not as great as a matchup because they don't have Metaverse, which means they don't have their 3 Trap Tricks, and they don't have 2 Metaverse, so that's like 5 more copies of Metaverse you don't have to worry about. So I'm going to keep this in at 1 just to see how it goes for now. So yeah. 1 Hornet. Then 3 copies of Area Zero. You have to open this now. Getting like if you engage with the, or you have this plus engage, you're going to get multi-roll to get the Ray, so you can blow this up after resolving it. Something I also found is that it actually comes up that, because this works with Pinkertops the same way it works with Ray, because the Pinkertops tributes itself as cost. So you can activate this, target Pinkertops, chain Pinkertops, and blow up a card. This will resolve getting your search, and then that card will be blown up. So another little piece of synergy I actually really enjoy. That's it for the Striker spells. 1 Terraforming. This is search to Area Zero. It's more important now, so 1 Upstart for generic consistency. 1 Rhoda, 1 Metal Force Fusion, 1 of the Dynamaster Field Spell, just to foolish it, and then 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. This is now more important than ever. The skill cap, I believe, for this deck has actually gone up because Kagari is actually way more important now, especially now it's at 1, to get like an engage, or you can use this, dump multi-roll, get multi-roll, then get resources off that multi-roll. But unfortunately, I do believe this is actually really necessary to put at 3, just because you need that extra consistency now. That is it for the main deck in terms of the extra deck. It's basically the same. Very little has changed. 1 Kagari, 3 Shizuku. This thing is actually carrying this archetype now because this deck has no way to get resources that's not, or off of anything that's not engaged. And this is your way of opening engage if you're forced to go first. So 1 Kaina, you don't need multiple. 3 Hayate. This is something that makes this deck going second a lot better too, because you can actually dump engage or a multi-roll, then use Kagari, get it back. This is like a 4th, 5th, and 6th copy of Foolish Burial Goods. For the generic stuff, 1 Phoenix blows up your. It's really good in the mirror match. You can bait out Widow Anchors, stuff like that, and then just blow up multi-roll. 1 Charmer. This actually comes up a lot more than I thought of, though, because I'm actually seeing a lot of Salad in terms of testing. This is actually just really good against it. 1 Boral Sword. You usually make this when you do heat-up plays, taking like your opponent's Ash or something, and then just normal summoning a Ray to make this really nice. And Girsu, again, synergy with Hida. Avermax. This is probably the next thing that's going to be cut on my list, depending on how much Striker is actually appear in the format. This thing was really busted against Striker, because there's very little ways they can actually out this without like just beating over it or getting like a jamming waves onto it. So 1 Bomber. This is another going first option, depending on the hand. This is just a way to just blow out your opponent's entire board, and if you get Hercules based on this, it's another Boral Sword that does 6k while blowing up your opponent's stuff. And then inside I'm running the Super Poly Target. Again, this comes out to what the format turns out to be. I believe Thunder will actually be really relevant still, so I'm actually going to keep this in there. So the side deck is basically done. It's almost swapped positions with the main deck. I'm no longer citing Pinkertops, except for the 1 extra. I don't have it on me, unfortunately. I'm actually putting it over here, and I'm still testing it. But in terms of cards I'm thinking about playing, so Red Reboot will probably be one of the big ones. The 3rd copy of Pinkertops, Twin Twisters, back removal, stuff like that, especially for the mirror. So anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you. The last deck profile actually got a ton of views and a ton of just a ton of support, and I'm happy that's actually going up. Again, sorry that it took so long to actually put videos out. I had to wait for a ban list, otherwise there would be very little for me to do. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the profile. Let me know if you guys think and what you guys think the format will turn out to be. I hope to see you guys in the comments. Later.